Everyone's got that one anime that they just can't get enough of, and by now you've rewatched it a dozen times and tried to show it to everyone you know, with varying success. So really there's only one logical thing to do next. Take a trip to Japan and visit the real life locations that your favorite anime are based on. Well, you've come to the right place. In this video, I'm going to teach you how to find the exact spots that iconic scenes are based, and share with you everything I learned on my anime expedition, as well as take you through a real live example using Kaguya-sama Season 2. The 3 P's of a successful expedition are planning, planning, and partying. The last P is optional, but highly recommended. If there's one thing I learned from my expedition, no matter how prepared you think you are, it's probably not enough. Step 1 is to create a custom Google map with every anime location you plan to visit. The reason I like to do this over just add stars onto your current Google map is because you can add custom pictures, which is vital because when you're in Japan, there's so many things to see, hear, and smell that it can be very overwhelming, so much so that I feel like I would have missed the Your Name staircase if I walked down it. So having the actual pictures from the anime on your map is really important. And then when you're attempting to navigate Tokyo, make sure you're switched to your custom map so that even if you're just walking around doing other things, like there was one day I went to visit the Sky Tree, but since I was using my map, I noticed that there was a couple locations nearby from Sarazanmei, and we just walked over there because it really wasn't too far out of our way. Make sure when you're adding locations to your map that you're naming them really precisely, because once you have a couple hundred like I do, it gets really confusing. If you'd like to download my Google map with hundreds of anime locations already on it, it's available on my Patreon, link in the description. Step 2 is to Google it. Don't waste the efforts of your forefathers, the weeb pioneers who went out of their way to find these locations in the first place. There are plenty of good articles, Reddit posts, blogs, Twitter accounts, and of course kinda neat videos that are already out there for you to use as guides. Step 3, exploring unknown territory. If there's not already a guide to find the locations, the first thing you need to do is figure out where the show is set. Now sometimes just while you're watching the show, somebody will mention if they're in Chiba or Kyoto or whatever, but other times it's a little less obvious, but thankfully Wikipedia is here for you. Generally you can figure out where the show's set just by doing a little bit of research. So obviously the first step is to pick a scene that you want to find the location of. I'm going with the scene where Kaguya and the president are crossing the overpass and there's all these cool lights sparkling in the background. I think it's really cool. So what you want to do is look for obvious landmarks in the background. There's a couple buildings back here you can see, but there's really nothing that sets them apart from any building. So we'll keep watching through this scene. Yeah, still nothing really obvious going on in the background that we could use to look up on Google Maps. And now they're at Kaguya's house. Okay, so what we'll have to do is back it up and look for another scene that happened just before this one to see where they're at. So we've got the scene where they're inside the family restaurant at the drink bar, but I do know the name of a couple popular Japanese family restaurants, so we could start looking them up on Google Maps and see if they have interior pictures we could use to compare. Like as you can see back here, I don't know if this actually says something. Royal Hosts. Okay, let's look that up on Google Maps. And yeah, there's a ton of them, so we'll definitely have to narrow this down a little bit. This will be our backup plan. We can try to find this restaurant, but it's usually a lot easier to find exterior locations. So where do they go from here? Wide shot, generic building. Oh, okay, so this is more like it. These buildings have a little bit more personality to them, and there's some signs over here on the right that we could use. Let me open up my Google Translate app and see if I can translate what those signs say. We can maybe look up what businesses those are. Google Translate has a really great feature. You point your camera at text and it will translate it automatically for you. Let's see if we can get this to work. If it won't do it live, then there's the scan option as well, which is just a bit slower. Lamprin Co. Ltd. Okay, so we'll open up Google Maps and we'll see if we can find that somewhere. No, so it looks like that's a made-up business. So I'm guessing the other one is also made up business, and that'll be the case most of the time. So where do they go from here? If I remember correctly, they head to a train station, so we'll see if there's any signs we can read in the background. Okay, here we are at the train station. Chica's head is blocking this. Oh, there we go. That's what we're looking for. Tamachi Station. So generally they have no reason to make up fake names for train stations. So if you're lucky and there's a scene that shows one, that'll definitely be your best bet for finding the spot. So we're in Tokyo where this show takes place. I come up here, Tamachi Station. And yep, it's a real place. Okay, so most of the time anime producers choose to keep scenes that are close together to be in close proximity in real life because people are familiar with locations and they like recognizing spots. So if they suddenly jump to the other side of the city, people would notice. So our best bet is to drop our little dude right outside Tamachi Station and see if we can match up to this scene. Looks like we got super lucky. I think this is the pole that this guy's leaning on. So let's see if we can get a different angle of this. We can go deeper in the station, but I am almost certain if we look at this green sign here, no, you can't see the machines on the left, Tamachi Station, and this pole. So the machines on the left. This sign would say Tamachi Station, and this is pole. So I'm almost certain this is the exact spot. So you could use this as a location. You could come right here and stand exactly where Best Girl Chica stands, but in this case, I'm looking for that overpass. So the best thing to do is to go for a little walk in Google Street View. Okay, we can't get out, we're trapped here, but let's get out on the road in front of where this was. So we'll come, so that was just up there. Okay, this is looking promising. So we're looking for an overpass. I'm not seeing anything that way. Oh, okay, well, there you go. That's easy enough. Can we get on the overpass? Because oftentimes you can go onto pedestrian walks, but does not look like we'll be able to in this case. Nope, now I'm underground. We just dropped into the subway. Okay, let's go back out onto the street for a second and compare just to double check that this is the right overpass. Okay, so let's go to the show. And is there a shot? Oh, perfect. So 3 bars on the railing, and then there's these cement blocks, which it's not exactly like that, but I think it's pretty safe to say that this is the walkway that they're going on. But let's confirm even more. So in this shot, you can see some trees down here beneath her. And yep, we got some trees here, trees here, trees here. So I think it's pretty safe to say that that is the overpass. Out of curiosity, I want to check if there's any Royal Host restaurants near Tamachi Station. No, I can kind of already tell this doesn't look like it's actually based off this spot. So it looks like they did base it after a real Royal Host restaurant, but they used one in Akihabara so they could set up a little pop-up shop cafe. And that's how it's done, folks. They don't always work out as easily as this one did, but you'd be surprised how many obvious landmarks there are in the background if you just pay close attention. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you have any questions, I'd love to answer them in the comments, and if you want to do an anime expedition to real-life kinda neat locations, my address is 643